Assalamu alaikum, Dr. Maria here. This is lecture part 2 of preterm labor, in which we will discuss about the prevention of preterm labor. In our previous lecture, we have discussed about the different definitions associated with preterm labor. We have discussed about signs and symptoms with logics. We have studied about different causes or risk factors. We have studied that how to make diagnosis of preterm labor and how to predict about the preterm labor. Kindly watch this video and the link is given in the description box. Today we will discuss about that how we can prevent preterm labor, and this is part 2. As we know that preterm labor starts either by the release of pro-inflammatory cytokines and prostaglandins that cause contractions in the uterus or when the cervix is weak. So we have to either inhibit the release of prostaglandins and pro-inflammatory cytokines, or we have to provide mechanical support to the weak cervix. And how we can do it? We can relax the walls of the uterus by giving progesterone, because progesterone will inhibit the release of prostaglandin and it will cause relaxation. And how we can provide mechanical support to the cervix? If we suture the cervix with the help of a thread, that is cerclage. So cervical cerclage can be applied to prevent preterm labor. So this is a cervical cerclage. We are just suturing the cervix. So it is very easy concept. If someone asks you in exams that how we can do prevention of preterm labor, just write down we can give progesterone, we can do cervical cerclage. So now we will study about the indications of cerclage. Then when you will apply cervical cerclage. For example, if you are sitting in an OPD and a patient comes and she complains that she has a history of preterm birth or labor, or she has a history of mid-trimester pregnancy loss, and on the basis of history you have decided to apply cervical cerclage, this indication will call as history indicated cerclage because you are deciding on the basis of the history. Case number 2. For example, if you are sitting in your OPD and you have done the anomaly scan, and of course on anomaly scan you will also check the length of the cervix, and the length of the cervix is short. What is meant by short cervix? When the length of cervix is less than 2.5 centimeter or 25 millimeter. Or if a patient gives you a history of preterm birth, or she gives you a history of cervical trauma, and on the basis of history you have done ultrasound and you have noticed the short cervical length. As on ultrasound the length of cervix is short, so you will decide to apply the cervical cerclage. This indication is called ultrasound indicated cerclage. So whenever in MCQs the word ultrasound is written and it is written that the length of cervix is less than 25 millimeter and now you have to apply cerclage, it is the ultrasound indicated cerclage. Now if a patient comes to you and you have noticed that cervix is dilating in the absence of uterine contractions, because cervix is dilating, cervix is weak, but there are no uterine contractions and the fetal membranes can be bulged. Because when cervix is weak, it is dilating, fetal membranes can bulge. You will save the pregnancy, you will rescue the pregnancy, you will prevent the pregnancy loss. And this indication is called rescue cerclage because you are rescuing the pregnancy. And this indication of cervical cerclage is called rescue cerclage when the cervix is dilating in the absence of contraction, and it is applied usually between 16 weeks of pregnancy till 27 plus 6 days of pregnancy. And just remember, do not apply rescue cerclage if there is any signs of infection, there is any bleeding, and if there are contractions. So how easy it is? On the basis of history you're applying, it is a history indicated cerclage. On the basis of ultrasound, when length is short, we are applying cerclage. It is called ultrasound indicated cerclage. When there are no contractions but cervix is dilating, we have to rescue the pregnancy. It is called rescue cerclage. So it can be asked in OSCE, write down the indications of cerclage. Now we will study the types of cervical cerclage. In order to understand the types of cervical cerclage, you should know a little bit about the anatomy of the uterus. So this is the body of the uterus. This narrow part is called isthmus of the uterus, and this is the cervix, and this is the vagina. Now, as the name is indicating, it is cervical cerclage, means you have to suture the cervix. So you will suture the cervix at different portions, and according to which we will give it name. So first we will draw a cervix. The upper portion of cervix is joined with isthmus, and the lower portion of cervix is joined with the vagina. And from the lateral and inferior border of the cervix there are cardinal ligaments. Now we can apply cerclage at the upper portion of the cervix, that the junction between the isthmus and the cervix. Or we can apply cervical cerclage in the middle of the cervix above the cardinal ligaments. Or we can apply cerclage, or we can stitch the cervix below the cardinal ligaments. So just remember, either we can apply cerclage between the junction of isthmus and cervix, or above the cardinal ligaments, or at the junction of cervix and vagina. Just now, this first type is applied through abdominal approach, mean through abdomen, either by making holes or by laparotomy we apply these sutures. So it is called transabdominal cerclage. While this second one and third one, we can apply these sutures through the vaginal approach. Through the vagina, we can apply these sutures. As this type is higher as compared to this type, so this second type is called high transvaginal cerclage. And this third type is lower as compared to this high transvaginal cerclage, so it is also called as low transvaginal cerclage, or mostly or commonly it is called as McDonald's transvaginal cerclage. So here you can look that transabdominal cerclage or stitch is present between the junction of cervix and isthmus, and you have to use abdominal approach from the abdomen, either making the holes or by make a cut in the abdomen, being laparotomy, you will stitch the cervix. And write down another important thing. When you will apply high transvaginal cerclage or stitch, you will use vaginal approach and you will apply them above the cardinal ligaments. In doing so, you have to mobilize the bladder. So mobilization of bladder is involved to prevent its trauma. And the third cerclage is the low transvaginal cerclage, which is called as McDonald's cerclage. It is most commonly used. It is below the cardinal ligaments and no mobilization of bladder is involved. So once again, the types of cerclage, it can be transabdominal cerclage, it can be high transvaginal cerclage, it can be low transvaginal cerclage, which is also called as McDonald's transvaginal cerclage. So I have taken this from the 10 teachers. Just remember the location. McDonald's transvaginal cerclage is placed at cervico-vaginal junction without bladder mobilization. High transvaginal cerclage is also called as Schrodker cerclage, and they are inserted above the levels of cardinal ligaments and we have to mobilize the bladder. Transabdominal cerclage is applied at cervico-isthmic junction, either by laparotomy, mean cutting the abdomen, or by making holes, mean laparoscopy. And remember, whenever you have to apply transabdominal cerclage, you can apply them even before conception. If you have a strong history of cervical trauma or cervical weakness, you can even apply them before conception or in first trimester. And when you will apply transabdominal cerclage, you have to deliver such baby by C-section. These are two important points that can be asked in MCQs. While the other two cerclages are mostly applied during the second trimester. and we have to remove them before 37 weeks of pregnancy. Mostly we remove the cerclage between 36 to 37 weeks of pregnancy. Second way of preventing preterm labor is the use of progesterone. Progesterone will inhibit the release of prostaglandins and different pro-inflammatory cytokines and will inhibit the contractions of uterine muscle. We can give progesterone to the patient either IM mean intramuscular or through the vagina, that is the vaginal progesterone. Intramuscular hydroxyprogesterone caprate is licensed in USA for preterm birth prevention in a woman with a previous history of preterm birth. So you can give intramuscular progesterone, and you can also give vaginal progesterone, which is considered the best nowadays. Whenever you have to give vaginal progesterone, you have to give micronized progesterone. What is micronized progesterone? Micronized progesterone means this progesterone have a same molecular structure which is identical to the progesterone which is formed by our ovary. While the synthetic progesterone have different chemical structure. And when you will use progesterone, if a patient has a history of preterm birth or preterm labor, or if she has a history of short cervical length, that is less than 2.5 centimeter. If a patient has a history of cervical trauma or pre-prom, better is to apply cerclage. As I have told you, best route is vaginal route, as nowadays it is recommended to give progesterone through the vagina. So we will discuss about the dose of vaginal progesterone. You can give either soft capsule or you can give vaginal gel. The dose of a soft capsule is 200 mg and the dose of a vaginal gel is 90 mg. Patient should use vaginal progesterone at least till 34 weeks of pregnancy. Better is that she should use this vaginal progesterone till 37 weeks of pregnancy. Every night or every day she will use this vaginal progesterone. In the next video, we will study about the management of preterm labor.